and vice versa. Everything we need. A strong liver is critical to gut health for reasons beyond nutrient conversion. It's also about storage because the more the liver's storage banks are saturated and overcrowded with toxins that the liver has collected to subdue, the less room the liver has for vitamin and mineral storage. The organ is faced with a decision to keep the nuclear waste containment system in place to protect the body or to let out the poison so it can store more vitamins, minerals, and other valuable material that can help repair the gut and the rest of the body. As vital as nutrient storage is, saving you from toxic metal without is a critical life-saving function of the liver, and one you will discover more about in the next chapter. This dilemma is another reason why taking care of our liver is one of our highest calling, because saving our livers saves them from this nearly impossible choice. If we are helping our livers cleanse troublemaker, those rascally toxins, poisons, and pathogens, as well as protecting them from avoidable troublemaker in the first place, the liver has the room it needs to fully support us with both its medicine chest of nutrient storage and its masterful waste containment. The liver gets everything it needs, and that means that we get everything we need. Chapter 5. Your protective liver. Disarming and detaining harmful materials. Your liver has been reducing due with its neutralization abilities since day one. If we had real awareness of just how important that is, we would celebrate it like nothing else. Hey, I just got exposed to something toxic and I'm going to survive because my liver's looking out for me. Instead, we ingest the aluminum particles from milk and cheese baked in a foil container, or the mold hardened in a piece of chopped meat that got all in the fridge, or the pesticide from a highly sprayed crop of corn, or the plastic from a microwave dinner, or the preservative in a fast food meal, or the bacteria or mercury in a bad batch of shellfish. And we keep going about our lives, never realizing that the liver stepped in and kept us safe from what could have been a health disaster. We get exposed to something like radiation from a CT scan, and we don't stop and say thank you to our liver for shielding us. The occasions we know to celebrate: the birthday, the graduation, the promotion, the so-called clean bill of health. Visits to the doctor tend to be made with indulgences that give our liver even more work. Hormone-filled conventional ice cream from antibiotic fat cows, for example, or cocktail made with fixed full of MSG, dyes, and synthetic fruity flavors. Instead of getting to party alongside us, our livers need to work even harder than usual to keep us free from harm. Our livers get no respect. In fact, the liver is one of the most disrespected organs in the body. When the great Aretha Franklin recorded "Respect she could well have been singing from the perspective of the liver. A real celebration would be drinking green juice or maybe just eating a few steamed potatoes to give the liver a break and help it restore its disarming abilities. Troublemaker neutralization. Those abilities are powerful, harmful substances such as synthetic pesticides and herbicides, pathogens, mold, plastic, toxic heavy metals, and other troublemakers have an ionic charge that's destructive to the cells in our bodies. It's a charge that makes them magnetically sticky as these toxins float along in our bloodstream, lymph fluid, and even spinal fluid. They create a reckless path of destruction, endangering nutrients, sucking the life out of oxygen itself, and even injuring immune system cells. The toxic ionic charge can also induce red blood cells, source of like when a meteorite enters our atmosphere and starts falling to earth, mowing down tips of trees until it lands at its final destination in the side of a mountain. As toxins float toward the liver, they tend to keep that toxic ionic charge. A healthy liver, thought one that hasn't been compromised or clogged up and isn't sluggish or stagnant or diseased, can discharge as toxins travel into the liver like pieces of candy on a factory conveyor belt. The liver can neutralize these harmful materials so they don't carry the same destructive force. Picture a line of workers standing over the conveyor belt at the ready to collect defective candy cans with crack and gobstopper that have broken in half so they don't end up packaged as shit. The liver also releases an amazing chemical compound into the bloodstream to disarm troublemaker damaging ionic charge and keep them from getting ignite when they are still out in the wind yonder of your body. Your body is not only filled with electricity, it is electricity. It's why when someone has a heart attack, emergency responder use electricity to try to weaken the heart. It's also why we need this chemical compound from the liver to float around the body and do its job of coating toxins, suffocating them, shorting out their charge, and keeping this troublemaker dormant so that the body's electricity won't ignite them. It's an extraordinary job that a liver can do and do well if it's healthy. Since medical research and science haven't scratched the surface of all the liver does, thought we don't know much about it, so we can't be the cheerleader the liver needs. If your liver is struggling, it will only be able to release small amount of this undiscovered disarming chemical compound, which means toxins can escape its reach and slowly wreak havoc. Troublemaker storage. If your liver is to run down or overload to neutralize and repackage a certain toxin in a safe manner, or to produce its disarming chemical compound and release it into the bloodstream, then the liver will stow away toxins that enter it in order to protect you, there are two types of storage facilities in the liver. The first type is what we looked at in the previous two chapters: pockets of glucose, glycogen, vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients, as well as other phytochemical and helpful hormones in porous sponge-like area along the outside of the liver, easily accessed through the pores themselves and not just sent out through the main avenue like the central veins. Then there are the storage pockets for harmful materials, because this is the secondary method for dealing with toxins. The liver's first line of defense is to get those toxins out of the body. These ardent storage bins set aside ahead of time for this purpose. They are more like heaps at a trash dump that arise out of necessity. Scrap metal goes in one heap, rotted wood in another, old type in another, dishwasher and washing machine in another, while hazardous waste like old batteries, refrigerators, and microwave ovens get grouped in a contained area. The liver drives toxins deeper and deeper into itself depending on how imaging they have the potential to be. It closest to the center of the liver, where it likes to push material that include petroleum products, dioxins, DDT, and other pesticides, aspartame, MSG, viruses, and viral waste matter, conventional cleaner, certain pharmaceuticals such as opioid and toxic heavy metal. This is all in the name of protecting you with the most destructive substance as deep as they can be. You are able to go about your life for as long as possible, while hot harmful materials in its deep inner core, when they can eventually cause liver sickness there, because the liver has a responsibility to make sure that those poisons are free floating and able to head to the brain and heart, where they could do extensive damage and shorten your lifespan. The liver takes the hit instead, patiently waiting hour by hour, day by day, year by year, for it change to cleanse or detox the item in the way it needs to. More important to liver salvation. The liver is not just one static mass. It ebbs and flows and practically shape-shifts, which is off to certain undiscovered cells that I call parent cells. For those times when the liver storage bins get too full, these parent cells are produced and released by liver lobule. While research and science have correctly documented lobule as 6 sites, they are not aware of these parent cells, nor the fact that parent cells cluster in groups of 6 and 9. For example, a large group of 33 parent cells would be considered a 6 to form tissues that can adhere and release as needed, block certain areas, pet other areas, and be disassembled and reconstructed to allow for storage bin expansion in the liver. By shape-shifting like this, parent cells help prevent the release of toxins that would be harmful to the liver and other organs into the bloodstream. Free-floating Perram cells, part of the liver family cell structure, can't live outside the liver, and medical research and science aren't aware of them because researchers can't live inside a liver for days to witness what's really happening. A cadaver liver won't exhibit all that a living liver has to show, and any living liver, such as one being prepared for transplant, must be treated with the utmost care, not pocket produced and damaged. And so the liver remains in large part a mystery to medical communities. Medicine is still far from understanding all of its inner workings. 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 Workings.